Before we begin the video, if you haven't yet, come on down and join my Discord server. Link is down in the description. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for one of our final Season 12 videos. Today is my seasonal Let's Look Back video, in which we're basically going to reflect on the season and the journey leading up to it. If you've been with us for a few months, you know the deal already, and if not, allow me to explain. We'll start out by talking about the theories that were made leading up to the season, and if they were ultimately proven or disproven. Then I'll talk about the stuff I liked about this season, and we'll close out with the bad stuff. Having explained that, let's begin. Perhaps the biggest mystery of this season was the identity of Unagami, the ruler of Prime Empire. It was implied early on that he would have some sort of identity. For example, the teaser's description said that the ninja had to find out who was playing Unagami. As it turns out, Unagami's identity was actually a decent plot twist, which is kind of a surprise for Ninjago. Episode descriptions revealed that Unagami was battling his own identity, leading people to believe he could be an AI like other characters. This was later confirmed in episodes 13 and 14, and Unagami actually stands for Unfinished Adventure Game 1. He was the programming of the game itself and became bitter after being abandoned, and these feelings led him to finish the game himself. Overall, a way better twist than the Ice Emperor. Since Prime Empire is a video game, it must have lives, and that was hinted at way back in November with the set leaks. But then came the following question: what would happen to a player when they ran out of lives? Would it truly be game over? Knowing Ninjago, obviously none of the ninja would actually die for good, but still it remained a question what would happen when they died. And episode 7 actually reveals the unfortunate fate of these deceased characters. They turn into orange energy cubes. Seems harmless, but it isn't. These energy cubes are given to Unagami, who uses them to build a portal to Ninjago City. And all of the ninja are cubed, as you could say, except Jay and Zane. Fortunately though, as predicted, everything goes back to normal in the finale, with everyone returning home after their brief death. Our next theory to reflect on will be the episode count. Season 12 was weird in comparison to other seasons because this time around, we didn't actually know how many episodes it had. People originally assumed it would have 30 episodes like in Season 11, or 20 like seasons used to have, or rather 10 episodes, but I'm accounting for the format change. Many people tried to ask on Twitter, but the creators didn't give any answers. However, it became apparent by revealed episode descriptions that 16 was the finale. And when the descriptions stopped coming after Game Over, it was all but confirmed. Game Over is indeed the finale, and Prime Empire has 16 episodes. This makes it the second shortest Ninjago season ever, tied with Rebooted for this position. Interestingly enough, every Ninjago season after Sons of Garmadon has had a different episode count. Milton Dyer is the creator of the infamous Prime Empire, and he plays a role in this season. Some originally thought, including myself, that he could be Unagami. If he wasn't, maybe he was another villain. After all, Prime Empire is an evil video game, so it would make sense to have been made by an evil guy. Episode 2, however, ends with the quote-unquote big reveal that Dyer is Unagami. No season would ever spoil the big twist this early on, so that basically ruled out Dyer being Unagami. It was still possible that he could be bad, but it turned out that he was an ally. He was forced to shut down the game due to it being dangerous, but Unagami took matters into his own hands and finished it himself. Dyer being a villain could have worked, but the story we got was way more interesting. Last but not least, who was Scott? As far back as last year, we knew that Scott would be the usual side character for this season, and probably an ally too. That's a trend we've seen from the show quite a bit, with each season introducing some new kind of ally. It was originally believed that Scott could have some relation to Jay given the lightning on his cap. However, while it may resemble lightning, it is actually the letter S. Then came the actual season, and we finally got a taste of what Scott would be like. Scott ended up doing more in the shorts than he did in the actual season. In the season, he doesn't do too much. Characters like Okino and Racer 7 do more, which was a surprise given that they didn't really have much of a presence in the sets. Then he dies in episode 11, and that was about that. But his story doesn't end there, because episode 14 reveals that he was the first person to be trapped in the game, being a tester for it. Ultimately, Scott to me was cool, but definitely was a bit underwhelming. And that is about all for the first half of this video. Let's move on to the next half. I'm gonna start by talking about the good aspects of the season. While the ninja could have been better, we got some really interesting side characters. This season introduced a lot of allies, and the main four who we get to meet are Scott, Okino, Racer 7, and Dyer. I especially was impressed with the way that Okino and Racer 7 were handled, and I feel both have really fascinating stories. The concept of NPCs and AIs is handled wonderfully in this season, especially with Racer 7 being programmed to lose. I also enjoyed Dyer, and I think his connection to Unagami was a standout part of the season. I also liked his voice acting too. As for Scott, well, he's good, Not as good as the others, but his design rocked and so did his voice. Overall, this was definitely one of the cool things about Season 12. This season feels notably different from other seasons in terms of its concept and lore, and I really like the change. Unlike recent seasons, this isn't a season that focuses on ancient events or super crazy backstory, and it isn't yet another season about something that Wu forgot to tell the ninja. Instead, we get to see a different side of Ninjago, one that is closer to our world. Obviously, evil video games are still really unrealistic, but less so than fire snakes or Oni. Anyways, we get to see more of the modern side of Ninjago, and this is not a season all about past events, but also about the present. This is also something I loved about Season 8 as well. Season 12's lore feels very unique to the show and less traditional, which I think is great. It's nice to see something different, and it remains to be seen whether Season 13 will be like this too. Lastly, this season has some amazing references and fan service. What's good is that it isn't Rise of Skywalker level, but mostly just small touches here and there that spice up the episodes. We have some more obvious references like the use of air jitsu in episode 12, but then you have more subtle stuff like Borg referencing the Digiverse and Mr. Cuddlywump, Jay's teddy bear from Hands of Time. Then you also have characters like the League of Jays, which was just awesome. There are so many returning characters in this season too, like Dareth, Borg, Harumi, and the Mechanic too. There are also more significant moments, like Jay mentioning he was adopted in the finale. Many of these are small touches to the plot, but to many fans they go a long way. There are many good things about this season, but definitely flaws too. Let's dive into that next. Hands down, my biggest issue is that this season does barely anything for the ninja. None of them really develop, not even Jay, who was meant to be the focus. The only real character moment is Jay talking about his parents in the finale. Lloyd also has his fight with Harumi, but that really didn't do anything for his character. This season had a lot of opportunities to focus more on the ninja, but ultimately failed to do so. Jay's connections with Unagami should have been emphasized more. Lloyd should have walked away with some closure after his battle with Harumi. The ninja just all feel the same to me. They don't feel like the unique characters from past seasons. I'm fine with one season of this, but this is a must fix for Season 13. Prime Empire fixes many of the issues with Season 11's format. For example, this season sticks to the plot and doesn't have a single filler episode. But there are definitely some issues that still remain with the format. Here are the two biggest ones in my opinion. First off, the villain doesn't have enough screen time, which was also a massive issue in the Ice chapter. I feel Unagami is a good villain, but definitely needed more time. The counter argument is that less is more and that makes the villain mysterious, but I disagree with this. Character development should not be sacrificed for mystery. The other issue is that the finale is rushed. You simply cannot conclude a season in 11 minutes, and this was also an issue with Awakenings. If the next season has a 2-episode final battle or finale, that would be a lot better. But that's about all for our Let's Look Back special. I mostly enjoyed Season 12 and I think it was generally a good season, so I would rate it 8 out of 10. Anyways though, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone and everyone you know, leave your thoughts on the video and season down below, and I'll see you guys next time.